Shalom, shalom, and once again, shalom. This is Dr. Hertz. This is Dr. Hertz. I am the author of Black American Descendants of Slavery, Housing Reparations. Yes, I am the author of Black American Descendants of Slavery, Housing Reparations. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to get this wonderful book and you be able to get it and understand the fight and the cause for reparations of Black Americans, the descendants of slavery in America. This book was written by me in 2020. Later on, I'll give you a little of some of my history concerning myself and how I got to write the book. But what I found that is very needful is an understanding of what reparations is and who deserves reparation, who needs to get them. So therefore, I want to give you a little background and a little. So this is titled Reparations Lessons 1. So this is going to be like a lesson. We're going to talk about what leads Black American descendants to the point of what is reparations for them, what is reparations to them. Do they deserve it? Should they want it? Do they care? And why they need it, if they need it at all? Because there are many questions, people just kind of shrug it off. So I realized that the problem with reparations is that people just don't understand how this all fits and makes sense. So a little later on, it will to you. So this is lesson 1. And I'm going to bring out several facts, several key factors that has to do with reparations as a whole. So if you follow with me, we're going to go through this. And if you see, it says reparations, okay, law, community, slavery, constitution, duty, rights, and justice. Well, some of you may say, well, what does all of that have to do with reparations or concerning reparations? All of those key elements fits into reparations and why we as Black people not only deserve them but needs them and must achieve them for justice in this society. And I'm going to just pinpoint some of the things that each one of these classifications has to do with: law, slavery, community, constitution, duty, rights, and justice. And then to paint a bigger picture of what you need and what this and how it makes sense and why it is vital and necessary. Okay. So now let's deal with the law. When you look at the law goes back to as far as back as we look in written history and time. We come to a point when we go and we look at the pyramids, because they're the oldest standing built structures in the part of Africa and Egypt. And we look and we see on the different hieroglyphics, but they talk about the 42 laws of Mayat, the 42 laws. And these 42 laws are very similar to the Bible. The Bible claims to have a history that's farther than the pyramids of Egypt. And in their history, it is given to the Hebrews, which was the law of Moses, which when we look in not only the laws of America, but basically through all maritime law, all international law, and even local law, it has a connotation to the Bible, the 10 Commandments. We said the 42 laws of Mayat, or the negative confessions, or what you shouldn't do concerning law in a society. So we can see when we talking about law, it goes back as far as the Bible, as far as American studies in American history, but all over the world we have laws, and laws is what the structure of basic civilizations are founded upon. So now let's deal with the part of slavery. Slavery, when you look back as far as we go into the Bible, we see that slavery was even talked about to a young man by the name of Joseph. Joseph was taken by his brothers, and he was sold into slavery into the land of Egypt. Now, understand, at this time, slavery already existed in Egypt. It was a form of business and trade when you capture a man or you capture the people. And sometimes slavery was voluntary or it was involuntary. It was involuntary or voluntary servitude. And so this is how it was already a system enacted that you could work for so many years, and then afterwards you could become free. So we understand that it's in the Bible how slavery has a part in the biblical history of the what makes American, also the written history of Black people who were chattel slavery, meaning they were as property in the Americas, and it was not a system that had ever been known before. It was a more egregious type of slavery. In other words, you had no period of time when you would be free. It just went on and on and on, and finally until the war broke out, and then slaves got their freedom. So that's what you understand. Slavery was also in the Bible. It's also a part of history, even from the lands of Africa and Egypt. Now, dealing with the community. A community is basically a neighborhood or where you live. In other words, you have close contacts with your neighbors, with your people who live around you, meaning that you all have a communal lifestyle, or you interact with each other. It may be relatives, it may be friends, it may be families, but all of the community, they share one thing in common. They share land mass, they share a part of the earth. And sometimes many people were named after the land masses. And this is how they were from a land of Canaan. They were from a land of Aruba. And so people got to know, they call you African, they call you European. So those land masses and those communities identified people where they were from, either by their looks, but basically by their land, where they were born, where they resided. And their communities all had laws in the earth. Now we have a constitution. A constitution is in a community, in a landmass. Your constitution is your commitment. In other words, what are you committed to? What is the commitment of your community? If your community is committed to having slaves, then all of a sudden you realize that people will be enslaved, because that is what the community believes in. That is what the community laws stand for. But you have a constitution. Now you will find in the constitution, and when I go into part 2, I will discuss how in the Constitution of the United States of America, it declares that you have a duty when your rights aren't being served, that you have a duty to come up against that government, just as they did, and they separated from England, to stand when the rights aren't being fulfilled. You pay your taxes, you pay you do your work. And so the Constitution declares that it is your duty to require that those chains be abolished and put off of you, so that you can have equity and justice in the community that you live. So you will see the commitment. What is the commitment? What is the Constitution? What does it ask you for? What should you expect from it? Okay, now a duty. What is a duty? A duty is your type of job. What do you do? Some of you may be a policeman, you may be a fireman, a lawyer. That may be your trade. Some of you may have many trades. Some of you have one trade. And some people may not have any trade because they aren't able to do anything. But your duty is basically your job. So when you look in the Constitution, I'm going to show you where it says that when you're not being treated right, you have a duty to abolish those chains that unjustly keep you in when you're not being free. And I'm going to spell it out plainly. So I want you to understand all of these things tied together. And this is when you get to the point you're going to understand about reparations. Some of you, I don't know if you're able to comment, if I turn the comments on, but you can you can hit a comment, let me see, can I put it up there? I'm gonna try to open it up. Okay, I think I opened up the comment board. There it is there. So if you want to comment, just hit a comment or ask a question, and I'll do my best to answer you as we move on. And this may be a long time, but you got to get an understanding of what reparation is and what you do. And so therefore, when you get the book explains, it doesn't go into detail what I'm going to go into now, but before you can understand, hey, what is reparation? Do I deserve reparations? Should I look for reparations? Do my children deserve it? And this is just talking about reparation, not in whole, but reparation concerning housing. And this is going to really blow your mind, because I spent 8 years in the real estate market as a realtor and studying as a broker. And I'm going to tell you, my whole key was how to help people. And that's what I learned. And I found, I really wasn't looking for it, but I found it in it. And this is what I came up with and says, hey, look, I've got to put it out there because I've been a student of history for years. Okay, let's go. Now we're going to talk about rights. Your rights is your choices. We have a right to certain things, meaning that if I have a right to do something, I have a choice. If you don't have a right to it, you don't have a choice for it. So certain people can't come into your home and have certain choices because it's not their home. Certain places are public, certain places are private. Certain places are open to the masses, and some places are open just to the few. And so you don't have choices in places that are private, but you must understand, what are your rights? Do you have a right to reparations? Do you have a right? Do you have a duty to even seek reparations? And you must understand that. And this is what it's going to talk about concerning the law, concerning your rights. Now, justice. Justice is the equalization factor. Justice is equity, meaning that in a community, in a society, you do everything to make all things even. When someone does something against a community or against an individual, the law is there to give them redress. In other words, we bring our issues to the laws, and the councils and the community says, well, okay, we're going to give you justice as best we can. I'm going to show you some things that I'm going to talk about in lesson 2, that what insurance does. Understanding, I was an insurance salesman for 3 years. And what I really found out, that insurance is designed, as they say, not to make you wealthy or make you, it's a big jackpot, but insurance is designed to make you whole. In other words, return you back to the state that you was as much as it can before the event took place. That is what insurance is designed for. And that's coming from the sales, not just a salesman, but that's coming from the leadership of insurance's point of view. Whereas if you are someone just in the community, many times we view insurance as, hey, man, I got a case. I'm going to get this money. It's going to give me more. Now, not saying that some people don't reap a benefit over, but the design of insurance is not to give you a windfall, but to make you whole. So when we look at justice concerning reparations, specifically in housing, because the laws, what they stated you should get and what you've been basically cheated out of, if you don't know you've been cheated, you don't know you have a right to it. When you don't know it's yours, you won't demand what you should get. And so I'm going to bring all those things, but I want you to know, and I'm going to go back over this because I really want you to get this, because all of these things, they tie in together. The law, community, slavery, constitution, the duty, and your rights, and justice. All 7 of these combine in reparations, specifically for Black American descendants of slavery. You have a right to reparations, and you have been damaged, whether you may know it or not. You may not think so. And one thing about, I said you have a right, meaning that you have a choice. If you says, hey, you know what, I don't want no reparations, I don't need it. Well, guess what? That's your choice. But if you have a choice to something, then you have a right to get it. And that's why I wrote the book. That's why I'm going to talk about the book, promote the book, let somebody know I'm Dr. Emil Dhurts. If you want the book, you can text me, email me. We'll get it to you. Amen. It's $25. It's a good read. It's a great read. And so the book is here. I want to talk to you about it. I'm going to get it out. So by next week, this time I'll be done. I may do a video earlier, but look for the video on my Facebook page, Emil Dhurts Jr., where you'll see my ministry classes. You'll also see on those that I'll be posting how people can come to my website on YouTube and listen to the reparations. But it'll be like a guidepost because I have other different things. You'll see it on there, and we talk about mainly with church, but after church we talk about sports, we talk about housing, as far as real estate investment that we do. That's a private little business on the side, and other things we may do. But I want to talk to you about reparation. And when you say lesson number 1, and I know this is just a precursor, but I will be doing lesson number 2, and then I'm going to go into the specifics. And one I want to hit is the law. The next, I'm going to hit into the community and what is your duties. I'm going to deal with the Constitution. I'm going to show you in the Constitution what it says. And then later on, part 3, I'm going to go into the rights and justices, because it's a whole lot trying to get in a small amount of time. And we want you to understand that sometimes you have to understand what reparations is about. This isn't something new. This is something that just needs to be followed up on. It isn't new. It just needs to be followed through. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to follow through on reparations for the Black American descendants of slavery who want to achieve and receive what's rightfully theirs. And it's time when everything's going on, God has so much for you. And so I'm just doing a little part. You can text me, write me, you can even call me. But this Doc Dhurts signing off. I'm going to do reparations lesson number 2, and hopefully we can sum it up by lesson number 3, and you can share it to somebody, a neighbor, a friend. Get the book and tell somebody about what's going on. Dr. Emil Dhurts signing off. God bless you. Have a great day until you see the next lesson. Shalom, shalom, and shalom.